Hello, fellow Americans. Voice of Reason coming at you from Jacksonville, Florida. And looks like we got our first bit of good news from the 2016 campaign, we being Team Trump. The first exit polls of the 2016 election have come in, according to Western journalism, and they're showing a pretty decisive win for Team Trump. They're showing him 49, Clinton 44. And these are the votes that are coming from U.S. citizens presently residing in Israel. So I wanted to bring this up for a couple reasons. First, just to congratulate Mr. Trump for obviously his victory on the first exit polls to come in. So, a little early for party hats, but nonetheless, it's better than coming in behind, right? The second thing I want to do is just kind of convey the results and some of the trends that were spotted. But most importantly, I want to hone in on two major trends, one of which should be sending up warning flags everywhere for Team Trump, and I certainly hope that they are. So let's dive in here and talk about what's going on. The number of American citizens currently living in Israel, according to this report, are 250,000, and only 30,000 voted, which, again, it's a little bit strange because they had a big Trump rally this past week, and they were expecting 120,000 votes. So 30 certainly is quite a bit short. Also sizably shorter than the last election, where 80,000 voted, and they were almost all for Romney versus Obama. So not anything neither here nor there, just interesting nonetheless how few people voted. It was overwhelmingly the males that supported Trump and the females that didn't, by a margin of almost 20%. Again, interesting. Will that trend, how will that translate to what we see here in the States? More importantly, I think, is just taking a look at which states those residents are from. So where are these absentee ballots going to be going? We've got some going to New Jersey, California, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, Texas, New York. 35% of them were from New York. So the only really red states that are in play are Texas, of course, Florida, Ohio, and purple state Pennsylvania. So that's where all the early voting, that's where the exit polls are coming in from. What's interesting, too, is by a margin of almost 2-1, a survey not too long ago had Clinton up. Not quite 2-1, but almost there. So for Trump to pull out the victory, it is a big deal. What jumps out at the page at me on this report from Western journalism is it says that the exit poll was conducted on Monday through Wednesday of this week, and they conducted it among 1,140 respondents and had a 3% margin of error. Okay? Now, technically, 3% actually exceeds the yardstick that the U.S. uses when we go in to oversee election processes in other countries to make sure that there's no fraud going on. So once it exceeds 2%, we sound the alarm because there's the potential for fraud. And already the exit polls are showing 3%. Now, somebody who doesn't know any better, what's the difference? 2%, 3%, is it really that big of a deal? I would submit to you that it very well could be, and here's why. Number one, we're dealing with Hillary Clinton. Let's not ever forget that. First and foremost, let's just have that be known. This is also a small sample. We're only talking about 30,000 votes. So what makes this so interesting to me anyway is something that naturally our media didn't pick up on very much, was Hillary Clinton stole 11 states from Bernie during the primaries. And the Institute for American Democracy and Election Integrity was going to file a suit for racketeering against Clinton. Probably be the only 2 times in your life you hear the words integrity and Clinton in the same sentence. So relish this moment. We can have it together. But again, this was in 11 different states, and what set them off to the fraud was the fact that the margin for error in some states was as high as 14%. Again, when the yardstick the U.S. uses when we measure other countries is 2. So, she's got a very distinguished history of this type of shenanigans. So, again, I think the flag should go up. I don't think there's any reason to panic just yet. But at the same time, maybe she's getting better at her craft. And she's just getting better at cheating, where I think it was Ohio. She registered like 13.9% margin of error in the primaries. I think it was Ohio. Don't quote me on that. And maybe she's figured out a way to tighten it so it's not quite so obvious now. But the other thing that interests me is the margins that we're going to be seeing victories by. And, here, again, a 5% margin in only 30,000 people voting, that's pretty decisive. I mean, that's a handed victory. The reason I'm so interested in that, and I think everybody else should be, anybody who wants to see justice done and wants to see Hillary face the criminal justice system, the only way, I did a post earlier today called Constitutional Crisis. We're ready to erupt because Hillary's never going to face justice. There were, I listened to a couple law professors, I am an attorney myself. I actually spoke with somebody at Mark Levin's studio, couldn't get him on the phone. And really am having a hard time figuring out how it's possible she's going to be charged at all. So the only real straight path that I could find because let me just walk you through the real basics. If you want the detailed version, check out that post, Constitutional Crisis. We're ready to erupt because Hillary's never going to face justice. I go through it in detail there. But the short answer is if she makes it to the Oval Office, that's it. Game over. We're done. So really all she needs to do is get through the election or get to the inauguration, right? So there's no chance that Barack Obama or Loretta Lynch is going to grow a conscience and indict her. So that's not going to happen. And once she's in the Oval Office, a president does have the power to pardon themselves. I did learn that. I was not aware of that. Also, there is precedent for Barack Obama to pardon her for any crimes that she may be indicted for in the future. But he's got to have a reason to want to do so. So anybody who follows politics knows that Obama and the Clintons absolutely loathe one another. They cannot stand each other. It's all about, power struggle. So in an interesting article that was written by Edward G. Griffin, many of you may know him as the author of The Creature from Jekyll Island, the book that details the inner workings of how the Fed works. I would potentially argue maybe the single foremost expert on the inner workings of the Fed, maybe in the world, who knows. But he's certainly up there. He did a movie several years back called Invisible Ballots, where he investigated the people that engage in this switching of the machines and learned that these people see themselves as trusted servants of the Republic. That they're doing they don't feel like they're criminals. They're saving us idiots from choosing the wrong candidate, is how they truly feel. And in his article, he closes by saying that they're going to have a real interesting dilemma on their hands come this coming week. What's it going to be? Is it going to be close enough to where if they do engage in voter fraud, it's going to be very difficult to detect? Or is the landslide going to be so big in Trump's favor that they're just going to have to put up their hands and retreat? And obviously, we need to hope for the second one for a couple reasons. And, I'll close with this. We need a slaughter if we ever expect to see justice for Hillary. Because if you think about it, it doesn't serve Barack's legacy to pardon her for any crimes she may be indicted for on his way out if she gets absolutely annihilated. In other words, thanks to her, his entire legacy is gone. because Trump's going to get rid of Obamacare and get rid of all his executive. I mean, it's going to be like BO didn't even exist. So he's not going to be too happy with Hillary. And I can't imagine pardoning her is going to be high on his list of priorities. So if it's an absolute slaughter, then again, there's got to be some benefit to him doing so. Because otherwise that's kind of a stain on his presidency. So why would he want to stain it knowing that all the things that he's worked for are also going to get wiped out? Something to think about. Now, if it's close enough for the election to be contested, then, obviously he'll do anything within his power to make sure that, she's pardoned for any potential hazards that could come down the road. So, literally, if she gets the office in any way, shape, or form, she's in the clear. She will never face justice for any of the things that she's done. She'll pardon herself, or Barack will pardon her before she gets into the office. And if she loses, again, the only way I could see us having a chance at him not pardoning her would be if it's an absolute slaughter. So, stuff to think about. More importantly, let's keep our eyes on these margins of error from the exit polls. Very important. And for those who don't know, basically the exit polls are what a person, when they come out, what they say they voted and how the machines end up registering it over a large sample size. So if 100 people come out and say 75 of them say they voted Trump, and it's a 50-50 split, then there's obviously some voter fraud going on there. So that's how that works. So let's keep an eye on that. Again, being 1% over, not a big deal. But when looked at in connection with the 11 states that she stole from Bernie, I don't know. It's and such a small sample size, I think it's worth looking at. So just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. But nonetheless, rah-rah Trump, congrats on your win. Voice of Reason out.